This is my first devlog for Temporalia, which, yes, is a very weird little project that I've been obsessively working on for way too long, and I'm trying to record this in one take because it feels more honest. But this is a devlog. I wasn't sure if I'd actually do a proper video for this because honestly, I'm kind of the person that just kind of writes a notebook or talks to myself while staring at a blank project for hours. But who cares? Um, okay. Let's start with what is Temporalia exactly? It's an RPG, but it's not the happy kind you might originally think of, or an open world one, or whatever. It's about time loops and memory and this creeping sense of like falling apart in a world that really just does not want you to leave. Um, you're following your player character, whose name is Leto, who wakes up, does something, maybe dies, and then wakes up again. It's meant to feel a little unsettling, but not in a horror way exactly, but in the something is just slightly off and no one notices but you way. It's weird, it's freaky, it's sad, it's a little funny in places, but it's mostly just me trying to capture a feeling that you can't exactly name. Wanderlust, maybe. Um, I don't really want this to be intimidating or like a lecture about game design or anything. I just want to take you on a weird tour of my freaky ass brain. I've been making this in silence in a while. I've been talking to my friends about it and my server, but other than that, it's just been me. I've been writing dialogue really late at night, sketching tiles and sprites that aren't finished at all or even implemented into the game yet. I've been writing achievements just to see if it makes sense, and building these like really weird event trees that look a little like conspiracy walls. But somehow it's actually like coming together in a way that I can show it to people. I barely even have a script for this devlog, so I'm just gonna go on a tour of whatever the fuck is happening in my brain. To start, I'd like to show you some things that are actually finished so far. That goes into achievements. I know it's weird. Usually achievements are something you worry about near the end of a game. Oh, we finished the mechanics and all the things that you need to do, and now we throw in your trophies and what else you have to do. But for me, writing them early is a really helpful part of my experience because it's not about fighting or dungeons or anything like that. It's a story. It's noticing things, really small moments, big moments, whatever, weird moments, emotional moments, and achievements are important to me for that. I like achievements to be their own little narrative, not just a like, you did a thing, congratulations, but commentary. They let you tell whatever the game notices about you. They tell you things that are worth remembering. So some of them are very straightforward, some of them are mocking or sad. I want players to be able to look at the list of their achievements and feel like they're reading like someone else's diary. I've been intentionally letting achievements feel like little breadcrumbs or something like that. They're kind of lonely, I guess, which is the entirety of this game is supposed to be like, but in that case, we can move on to the settings person. The settings person is maybe the weirdest thing that I've come up for this game so far. The settings person lives inside your pause menu. They don't have a name, they don't have a sprite, there's nothing to pin them down exactly. They're just there whenever you stop. The idea is this: you, the character, build them in your own head. When they speak to you, they don't have a fixed identity. You imagine their voice, the shape, the presence. They're not part of your main cast, they're not bound by the loops, they're not an NPC, but they're real enough that you start caring about them anyway. I want the pause menu to feel alive. It's not a place to just adjust your volume or save your file. I want it to be something real, settling, lonely, somewhere someone is waiting. They'll ask you questions, not about gameplay or stats, but about you. And they're weird, arbitrary things. They're things that don't really even matter. You might open the settings and see a slider that says, hide this if you like cats, or a toggle for your brightness. Do you think people see you clearly? And every choice that you make with the settings person is remembered. Every answer is acknowledged, it doesn't change anything mechanically, but it subtly shapes the way that the settings person interacts with you. They might say, "Wow, that's really interesting. I didn't know that about you." Or, "Oh, I don't like that about you." They're a person. Your settings, even if you yourself shape them by the way that you interact with them. Sometimes they're playful, sometimes they're a little needy, or sometimes they just silently observe. It's like talking to someone who only exists when you look at them, and someone who will vanish when you close the menu. The settings person also hooks directly into the achievements that I've been writing so far. The first time that you talk to them, you'll get a "I don't think I'm even something real at all," because they aren't real. They exist in your setting. If you play with them, you get another achievement that says, "Do you like cake?" It's silly. Your settings just asked you if you like cake, but they're a person. It's if you ignore them too many times, they'll ask you, "Hello, are you there?" in your own achievements. It's little reminders that they are paying attention even in your mark. And sometimes if I'm feeling particularly rambly while I'm writing them, they'll ask questions you like rain, the sound of keys clicking, or if you could make a setting called happiness, where would you put this? It's subtle and it's strange, and there's people that probably won't ever pay attention to that. But it's really fun. I like that the player has to inhabit a part of the game themselves in order to understand it. It's really nice. The next part that we have to talk about is the very first room. It's finished, or at least finished enough to actually play with. Honestly, finishing it felt like a huge one. It's the space where every single loop begins. Leto wakes up here after a nap, eventually after dying over and over again. Loops start right here, in this very room. Somehow, this void has to contain all of that without saying it. Getting that room right is really important. It's the anchor, the ignition point. It couldn't be dramatic because that would give the player a sense of control that they don't actually have, but it also couldn't feel safe. It's just an ordinary room, but warped just a little off. It's on the air, it's shadow, it's supposed to feel both familiar and foreign at the exact same time, which is really hard. It's a lot harder than it sounds. And it's the writing too. God, the writing was the hard part. It wasn't even the coding, it was the writing. I didn't want Plato to start off with this huge monologue, mission dump. I really wanted it to just feel like someone just waking up. He's groggy, a little distracted, half present. He's thinking in fragments. Sometimes he catches himself staring at a wall or muttering stuff under his breath. It has to feel real, but even in those tiny little wake-up murmurs, there has to be this huge weight, this sense that something is off, wrong, or even Plato knows it himself. I rewrote these opening lines a bajillion, just a million times, because it's not about explaining anything yet, anything in particular, other than the fact that you need to slip the player into this headspace. You need to slip Plato too, so that by the time the loops start stacking up and up, it's already embedded. And here's the part. I've been experimenting with tiles, textures, and everything else for hours, trying to find this almost impossible balance between emptiness and detail. It shouldn't be blank because you really need to feel like you're standing on something alive and breathing with you, but it's a void. It shouldn't be textured either. It's supposed to feel alive in a very quiet, unsettling way that I haven't exactly pinpointed yet. I've made a lot of placeholder sprites for Lato Room's object, but they're just a step. I'm planning on replacing them very soon. I need these tiles to be very specific. They need to be alive, fragile, slightly broken, like everything else in Beetle. But back to my writing and dialogue. Dialogue is probably the most painful part of this process because Plato's voice has to carry not just the story and the narrative, but also Plato himself, the part of him that lives and breathes that you inhabit by just moving around. He starts almost normal, right? A little tired, a little annoyed. He's like any other person waking up from a nap that lasted too long. But as loops go on, the cracks really start showing. These little fissures, little hairline crack, his voice, his thought around in the world. I have cracked every single one of those cracks, exactly when the story happens, exactly when Plato emerges himself, all of his glory. There's sometimes where I write entire sections of a scene that I know I am never actually going to use. I will write out an entire freak out or this tiny little sigh under his breath just to make sure that I know how he would phrase it. It's rehearsing a breakdown mirror that only exists in a single word over and over and over again until it feels real and down because it's too much or maybe it's enough or the wrong shade of tired or the wrong kind of quiet, but I just need to hear it in his voice. It's kind of tiring, but it's also what makes the game feel alive and naturalistic the way that I want it. Plato isn't just narrating, he's bleeding all over the script and into the tiles and into the air of the room and the textures and the shadows and the corners, everything that you see, and even the silence. He bleeds in every aspect of it. They all carry the same weight. Exactly what I want the player to feel the very first blink when he just opens his eyes. You're already trapped here in his head with him before you even. So that's where I'm at. There's the beginning room, a lot of dialogue, really skeletal base for an event tree, very half-finished tiles, and a very strange nameless companion who only exists in your pause menu. It's a weird spread of progress. I don't know how I got here, but that's just honestly how I work. I jump between a lot of things until they start weaving together like a weird spider web or whatever. And they're finally starting to actually weave. I have no idea how often I'll do these devlogs or anything. I tend to be pretty sporadic with my projects, so who knows, I might make one next month or maybe 2 years from now, who knows. I've been working on this project for almost 2.5 years, but I like the idea of tracking the progress of this project that way. It's nice having these messy in-between moments instead of just stressing about whatever it'll look like when it's finished. And I myself really like watching devlogs as a way of motivating myself, and I hope that for at least one game designer out there, there is someone that sees this devlog and has that push to keep working. I like that idea. But if you want to follow me along, I'll keep updating here, even if it's inconsistently. But thanks for stepping into this early with me.